Cobweb garage needs to expand and the only way is up. So join me as I build this mezzanine. Welcome to this special episode of Cobweb Garage, where the garage is in a complete mess, I'll be honest with you, and that's because I'm about to install a mezzanine floor, which is gonna basically be a quarter of the size of the garage, and will be in this quarter here, over where I work on the scooters there. I'm desperate for some more storage space. When you do these projects, you just gain parts, blah blah blah. So the idea is to build a mezzanine about 2 meters high, so I'll still have plenty of space underneath it, put some racking on top of the mezzanine, and then I can pull all my parts up there. So let's see how far we have gotten. We have this I-beam which is 6 meters long, runs front to back of the garage, and I've just lifted it in position with this block and tackle and I-beam clamp. As you can see, I just had to lift it over so it fits in there. I'm going to lift the I-beam up and use these 4-inch posts to support that. I will have to remove this, which is the control for one of the garage doors and a power socket, and I've got a bit of preparation to do on these.
Tree. He's dancing, singing with all the pretty girls. Yeah, a stranger lost in a foreign town, but he's brought alive with his sense of family. Yeah, burn the bridges over Whiskey River.
Let's hike this I-beam up into position.
Nothing I never did see before. Well, he works summer job that'll last till springtime. Well, he waits at the door to help the other side. Yeah, his mother moves through the darkest cloud. Not turn around to the man, there's a place to hide. Yeah, burn the bridges over Whiskey River.
So the I-beam's pretty much lifted into place now, about the right height. Now, I've got 2 4x4 stanchions, if you like, to support it at either end. I've actually chamfered the bottom here because where it's going to sit, I want it to finish flush, and there's a big weld there. There you can see now, actually taken the weight off of the block and tackle, and it's sat on that upright stanchion. Which goes down to the floor, and here's the other side. Got the beam in position now. I have put a couple of spacers just so it's nicely centered, taken a measurement from the beam to the wall. So we're going to cut a first joist just to offer it up, see how it all works out. Just where it's sat on the I-beam, it's not quite tight against it, and I think that's just because it's being pushed away by this. So I'm just going to take the corner, hopefully you can see that, take the corner off there, and I think it will just push back another 3 or 4 mil. So the next thing I want to think about is fixing these floor or ceiling joists, somehow connecting them into the frame, and I'm thinking about connecting them up to the steel at the top. Maybe also I can screw them into the timber studs, but they're not very substantial. So I bought some angle iron, which is pretty cheap, and I want to sandwich the joist between the angle iron and then weld it to the I-beam there. It'll all make sense, but first job is to cut this angle iron into the right lengths. So let's get on with that. There, I've got all my angle irons cut to length, and the idea is I can weld them to the I-beam at the top and then bolt them down. So basically just making a joist hanger. There's the 2 bits of angle iron. I've beveled this edge here, which will weld to the I-beam. And then on this bottom edge, I've just made some little end pieces. And so I'm going to weld those on there. I have got these joist hangers all welded up. It's very interesting because they got better and better as it went along, which is good because my welding is definitely improving and adjusting the settings and taking a bit more time concentrating. The improvement is remarkable. But here they are basically, and that is going to be welded at the top to the I-beam there. Just going to drill some holes in the side of these joist hangers. Much easier to do on the bench here rather than when they're up welded up in the air. So there we go. Just giving these joist hangers a quick coat of paint. Well, the sort of bottom 3/4 anyway, because obviously when the timber's bolted in there, I won't be able to get to it. And I don't want to go right to the top because I need to weld them at the top. Had a bit of an issue and change of plan with these joist hangers. I was hoping to just weld them directly to the I-beam up there, but partly my welder and partly my skills, I just can't get a decent weld. The I-beam is just way too thick for my welder, I think, to deal with. I looked online and you can heat up big thick chunks of metal to help the weld, etc., but I don't really trust that. So the change of plan is I've got another idea, and I'm going to actually make the joist hangers bolt on. So I have cut a slot in the back of the joist hangers, and I've got a top piece which I'm going to weld on to make a complete unit, and then I can just bolt that to the I-beam.
Saw you across the floor.
Finally got all the brackets welded up. They're actually in order of how they're going to go up to the I-beam. I'm still really learning with the welding, so there's some of the welding's not fantastic, but it's pretty solid. Got better as I went on. This one kind of came out okay. Welded it on the back, ground it flat, but they're rock solid. I'm just going to quickly drill the holes on the I-beam.
You looked at me twice, my heart has started to race. Couldn't believe you were here in this place. From the tips of your toes to the nose on your face, I was under your spell and there was no escape.
Right, let's try and get this first joist up in place. Got my nicely painted hanger there.
Put my hands on your hips. With that first embrace, I fell right under your
I've got 2 bolts in, top of the joist hanger, and this one's a little bit different to the others, but I've got a couple of holes there, and I'm going to put a couple of bolts which will bolt all the way through into the main sort of stanchion steel.
When we got together, I fell right under your spell. When I held you close, I fell right under your spell. With that first embrace, I fell right under your spell.
Got the far joist in as well. Now I think I'm going to do one joist at a time and actually put the noggins in as I go along. Got the second joist in place, and I'm going to do the noggins as I go along. So that's the first one cut, and that's going to sit down in between the 2 joists there. I'll keep them nice and square in the middle. Let's get that noggin in place. So we have 5 of the 6 joists in place at the moment. Got a couple of noggins in, and I'm just using these plasterboard supports just to hold the noggins in place while I screw them in. Here we have one cut to length. There you go, I'll just check that's level and put those screws in. This is kind of what it looks like from above. I just want to get the opposite sides of the joists exactly at the same centres as on this side. I've got the noggins, which is helping, but I'm just going to make a little template here. So I've butted that against the wall, and I've marked where the joists are, so I can just transfer that to the other side. Now I know my I-beam isn't going to need to move anywhere, I want to connect it to the steel post stanchion there permanently, but I've already found out I can't weld to this I-beam because it's like 10mm thick. My welder only goes up to about 6mm. So my idea is, I've made this bracket, I'm going to actually weld this bracket inside the metal post and put weld a couple of nuts there, and I can just drill a couple of holes through the I-beam and bolt it down. Now it's time to pull this stanchion out to do this bit of welding on it. So I just got to hoik up the I-beam, just take the weight off it. So here's the little brackets I made, they're welded on nuts, and the idea is I'm just going to weld those in there, one on each side. Then I can just drill 4 holes in the I-beam and just bolt them together. I might just give myself a little chamfer on side just to get a better weld in there. I can grind it flat. Not sure if you can see, but I did a couple of plug welds in the brackets on the inside of both ones, and got decent welds down there. Ground it flat, just checked it's completely square. So that is ready now. I'm going to make a cardboard template with the hole positions and mark up on the I-beam so I can drill those in the right place. Holes are drilled in the I-beam. I have opened those out to 10mm. The bolts are 8mm, so it's given me a little bit of play because I'm not sure quite how accurate my cardboard template was. Anyway, let's try and fit this stanchion in. Okay, this one. Gonna have to put this down. Can't do it one-handed. Hope you can see that. That worked a blooming treat. 2 bolts in either side. Can just about see that bolt there. But that is rock solid now, that stanchion. I've just got the other side to do now. I pre-drilled some holes in these hangers, so I've got some screws that are going to go in the side here, and also I pre-drilled some holes because these joist hangers are actually sat where the studs in the walls are, so these are actually going to connect into the wall studs. So it's just belt and braces stuff, really tight all together. One final job just to secure these joists in place is to fix them from the other side of the I-beam. So I've marked the back of the I-beam. There's all the joists, and you can just see there, next joist. That's my broom falling over.
Gotta earn it. Nothing in life is for free.
This is my little trick for keeping the joist nice and straight before I screw into them. I've got one G clamp clamped to the I-beam, and then the other one just pulls the joist into position. There we go, give it a couple of tweaks, and that is bang on. And there we have it. That is the joist all properly fixed into position. Rock solid now. Right, it's time for flooring. Now, I did look at reclaimed flooring, floorboard and scaffold boards, but I don't want any gaps. I want something that could be self-finished. So I went for this snazzy OSB board, which is tongue and grooved. It is carbon negative, so it's kind of environmentally friendly. It's 18mm thick. Gonna glue the joints together and probably just give it a coat of floor varnish once it's all down.
I'll keep on working, I'll keep on working some more. I don't need no one to give nothing to me.
Thank you for watching this episode, part 1 of the mezzanine build. Next time I will be putting some sides on the mezzanine and racking on all 4 sides. So that'll give me the storage space to take on more projects. Join me next time. Cheers.